If we are to obey the law of Moses, how do we determine when to do so literally, when to do so in the spirit of the law? Any and all obedience to the law must be done in the spirit it was intended. One of the things that we find God say over and over is that it's the sincerity that we have of worship to Him that is the measure of how He looks at us. As a matter of fact, I would say to you, the law cannot be obeyed properly. You will not do it in the spirit of the law if you don't have the Spirit of God in you. We got to remember that at the time of Yeshua, 13 centuries had passed since the giving of the law on Mount Sinai. The culture of Yeshua's day was nothing like what it was in Moses' day. It wasn't even the same type of language being spoken. By his day, so many traditions and customs had been created. So many alterations of what people thought ought to be within their faith, how to practice it, so on and so forth. It happened that the Sermon on the Mount was Yeshua taking us back to the beginning and saying, here's what it's all about. There are laws that you can bring across pretty easily. Kosher eating. This is not hard in pretty much any society. It's very simple. The rabbis have made it very complicated. But when you just read it in Leviticus, it's about a paragraph long, and that's about all there is to it. Other issues are harder. Probably not a good thing to take an adulterer out and stone them to death right now. You're going to probably find yourself in a lot of trouble for doing that, and I don't even think most people in societies would even accept it anymore. But the point, the spirit of it is, that's how serious adultery is, because adultery was like murder in that time, an unforgivable sin. There was no atonement. You couldn't bring a sacrifice. That says, in a marriage, how serious adultery is in God's eyes. That's what we need to look at and understand the seriousness of it. As we try to figure out how to obey the law, the first thing is take a look at it literally. Can it be done? Does it make sense for today? And believe me, there was never a time in history, no matter how bad somebody wanted to, could every single law have been done. Sometimes it was because they weren't in the land yet. Sometimes they were in exile. We need to look at it that way and understand that it is about a moral code. So morality is the goal of the law. These things the law tells us about are not options and they're not preferences. They're God's commands. This is how we're to live. You're going to have things, you're going to have to take it to God in prayer and try to figure it out the best you can. But one of the things I've learned over the years is that when you're living your life intent on obeying God's commands and you're praying about these things and you're taking them to the Lord, you're on the right path. If we're thinking on the Lord all the time and how do we obey Him, then you're shutting out so much that's outside that should not be in your minds in the first place.